I love the countdown.
Yeah, I love the countdown. Hey,
So
y'all.
dramatic.
All right, so let me dig up my notes.
By the way, I'm wearing the colors of the trans flag in case you couldn't see. There's a
Yes,
blue,
I can see that your shirt is decidedly
blue and pink stripes.
Very nice.
okay. All right, there we go. So got my notes going.
I'm pulling everything up. Is it on Twitch too?
Yeah. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and we're on we're all over.
Okay.
We're worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah, we're worldwide. So
This is a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, especially when you're worldwide.
yeah, I mean,
Ugh.
this is a thing. So
Okay.
All right. So Onyx, I will leave you to start the introduction.
Okay. Hi there. I'm Onyx Rose. Today's topic on Trauma and Voices has to do with guilt and shame, and whether one or the other necessitates, whether one necessitates the other, and how you deal with both guilt and shame, both within the household and without, like when you're in public. So with that, whoever wants to go first can go ahead and go.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I have an excellent talking point against this. The symbolism here is very simple. The body as a betrayer versus the body as a home. And so, as a trans woman, I live with this persistent sense that my body somehow deceived everyone, including myself. When we talked in last night's live, I was reading the epilogue to my biographical, and the last 3 paragraphs of that text speak persistently to the betrayer versus the home mentality. That I basically walked through years and years of my life in a complete total lie. The solution to that problem is my body kept on living, breathed, pumped blood, carried me forward until I could actually attach Wendy to the thing that I actually am. Here's the thing, and Miranda may argue this, I'm not sure. Betrayal requires intent. My body is a vessel doing its work, and it was doing its work in the dark at the beginning. But you begin small, you do things, feel rhythms. That's not the heartbeat of a person that was lying in a sense of betrayal. That's the heartbeat of someone that survived long enough to speak truth, which means the betrayer versus home argument is bullshit. But there you go. Miranda?
Yeah. So on your point of betrayal there, that's something that I feel like being accused of betrayal or of being a betrayer is something that has been assigned to me by other people. So like when I came out, that was me saying, I'm not lying anymore. This is who I am, who I'm becoming, and I'm finally at peace with knowing who I am. And then, you turn around and other people in my life, people in churches, whatever, um, they saw and see me being a trans woman as a betrayal of their idea of masculinity, of their concept of who I am and who I'm supposed to be. Um, and it's a difficult tension sometimes, I think, when I'm like, hey, this is the real deal. This is the truth. And because of their ideologies, they want to cast me as a betrayer.
I could grasp that concept. Brandon.
Yeah, I can relate to that. My mom especially used a lot of guilt tactics. Um, a lot of times, I don't think she even realized that she was doing it. I think it was passed down to her from her mother, because I could see it in her, in my grandma, and how she kind of manipulated people by using guilt. And realizing that I was gay, of course, I felt both guilt and shame because they're different. And to your question, Onyx Rose, I don't believe that one necessitates the other necessarily in all instances. From what I've understand about them both, guilt is more about your actions, things that you do, and shame is about who you are. So I've felt both. I mean, a lot of times you do feel both, but growing up as gay and hearing that phrase, love, hate the sin, not the sinner, kind of thing. You know, that was meant to be more of guilt inducing than shame, because if you love the person, you're not shaming them because you still love who they are. But if you hate what they do, that induces guilt, because you should feel guilty for these actions, these things that you do, these sins that you're committing, these things that you do. But I don't think most people most people don't really believe in that hate the sin, not the sinner. I think they do equate the actions with the person, and so it is more of a shaming that person, because they can't separate the two. They can't separate it, the actions from the person.
Yeah, it's like you are your sin.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. But much more to the effect that people of that frame of thinking tend to ignore the other sinful traits of individuals by focusing entirely on that sin. My interaction with Johnny Hunt, where he literally, he had made the statement, we need to love the homosexual, we need to hate their sin. And I told him, I said, you said that, right? And he said, yes. And I said, what about all of the idolaters and usurers and borrowers and adulterers that are in your congregation? And he didn't say anything, and he just walked away. So it's easy to ignore other sinful acts. And then hilariously, he was booted out of his church for being an adulterer. So that says something. And not to take over the conversation. I apologize if I was interrupting you, Brad.
Oh no, that's all right. I mean, we're taking turns, aren't we? So
Right.
I don't want to monopolize the conversation either. Yeah, I think that answered what you were asking, Onyx.
Yeah. When I think about guilt and shame, I think about it in a couple of ways, sometimes three ways. I have Crohn's disease. So, in one way, my body has betrayed me. And that betrayal brings a sense of guilt and a sense of shame, especially when when I'm in public and I have an accident, because that has happened many times. You know, when I have to lean on people to help me walk or take me to the emergency room, you know, that is guilt because of that. And that leads for me to a sense of shame. In terms of being trans, and you know, in terms of being trans, you know, it's kind of funny because you know, the love the sinner, hate, or love the sinner, hate the sin. My parents just told me that 3 or 4 days ago in regards to my upcoming surgery. You know, there's a sense of, when I came out, or before I came out, there was a sense of guilt, which led to shame, in that I was hiding all the time. And I knew these things to be true about myself, but I couldn't crack that egg, so to speak, you know? And once my egg cracked, that guilt didn't go away, because the guilt was, well, I have this knowledge that I've had and I haven't shared it with anybody. So there were people who were like, oh my God, I didn't know this. You know, how come you didn't tell me? And then that's when the shame kicked in.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, sorry. I think that's a good point, that you can get over the shame part. You can accept for yourself for who you are and not feel ashamed of who you are. But there's still feelings of guilt. I still feel guilty for hurting my mom's feelings or something like that. You know, I feel bad about that. So I feel a sense of guilt, but I'm not ashamed of myself. I know it's not something that I'm not intentionally hurting anyone else, but it still happens. People still feel bad or whatever. And of course, I naturally would feel a sense of guilt.
So I think that involves inherited shame.
Yeah, I think so.
So let me just sort of throw this out. That shame that tastes your parental disappointment, your mom's silence, the congregation sermons that you listen to that demean you and denounce you and berate you. And that's the shame that you swallowed so young that you really probably thought that it belonged to you. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't. I mean, therapeutically, externalize it, literally. Right. Why the fuck do you think I write the queer space stories? That's me trying to externalize a whole slew of different traumas all at once, because I don't want to walk around with that shit anymore, you know? And then force people or ask people to read it or let people read it. But Brandon,
So,
in your case, and I want to say this very clearly, you are not obligated to grow what others seeded without your consent. And don't do that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when you're talking about sermons and things like that, I don't feel guilty if I sit in a church and hear sermons and it mentions homosexuality being wrong and that kind of thing. I don't feel shame or guilt in that case because I'm not. I don't. I just. I don't, because I don't believe that I'm in the wrong. But I do still feel a sense of guilt if my family or something, if they were to say something or feel bad, there would still be a little guilt there, but it's not, to me, it's not shame. I'm not.
Can I ask, Brandon?
What's that?
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You. Oh, it just slipped my mind. I'm sorry. You you said that while in church, they made you feel guilty, or around your family, they made you feel guilt, but you didn't feel a sense of shame. You don't feel a sense of shame that you felt guilty. I mean, that they made you feel guilty. Does that not then necessitate the sense of, a sense of, my God, I let myself down and feeling this guilt, and that's almost shameful?
I don't believe it is. I
Okay.
I think I feel bad that they feel bad.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that I feel like, me as a person, that I feel ashamed of who I am.
Right.
I know it's a very, I think it's a very fine line between the two, and I don't know if it makes sense to hear it that way from other people, but that's why I see it in my mind.
Miranda.
Yeah, so I had a lot of guilt and shame given to me, and a lot of guilt and shame I gave myself. Um, so whenever I was very active in the church, um, I took Jesus seriously, which it turns out is not um, a popular position. Um, so I would um, give myself a lot of guilt about not being good enough, um, and um, like, even if I volunteered at the shelter feeding homeless people, like, obviously that's a good act, right? But like, I I would go do something like that, thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing this thing that shows that I love my neighbor. And then after it was over, I would start thinking about, like, all of the things that I wasn't good enough. So, some of that was related to me being a closeted trans woman, and other things. But so I would, like, um, shame spiral, basically, because I felt like no matter what good I do, it doesn't make up for how broken I am. Um, which thankfully I don't feel like that now. Yeah, but like that's it took me a long time to dig out of that because it was so deep and it was like in every thought, you know.
Can I pivot for a moment? Shame and guilt in in this political climate. Is that something different than being shame and guilt around being queer or anything like that? I guess it goes hand in hand, but shame and guilt in this political climate while being queer. Does that ring any bells?
It does, but there's two. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm ordering lunch. Anyway, yeah, Fifth Gugs, Burgess and Friffs for lunch today. Fifth Gugs. Go to Fifth Gugs.
Friffs? Did you say friffs?
Yes, Burgess and Friffs.
What are friffs?
So, Fritz?
Hilarious side note. There's a memester out on the internet called Spubby, and I use Spubby pronunciations and spellings for restaurants and advertisements or whatever. And so I'll send you some of his memes, Brandon, in the memes channel. It's fucking hysterical. But I call Five Guy Fifth Gugs, Burgess, and Fritters. So anyway, to the point, that brings up 2 points, the political climate that you're talking about. And so one, this is a two-pronged argument. And Brandon, I want you to immediately take this after I get done with it because you're going to, but the first thing is the guilt of taking up space. You feel like your existence demands too much of the people around you. Too much explanation, too much accommodation, too much transphobia, too much homophobia, whatever the fuck it is. Too much of other people's discomfort to manage causes the guilt of taking up space. And so what you have to realize, the medicine for that is that you're not a burden for requiring space. Every human requires space. Physical, emotional, social, whatever the fuck it is. The guilt that you feel is a response to a world that told you you should shrink and disappear and go away. So just stand there and express. But then that leads to, especially from Miranda and I and Onyx's case, another question. And that question becomes, am I trans enough?
There we go. Yep.
Doubting your identity because you don't fit the narrative. You didn't follow, at 5, you don't hate every part of your body. You weren't obvious. And there's no way to arrive, correct way to arrive at yourself. I've had trans people walk up to me and go, you should not be wearing that dress. You're not trans enough. You're not even close to passing. What the fuck are you doing? Which literally happens because, and I know you're going to hate to hear me say this, there are some trans people that are very fucking toxic. And even they themselves encourage that question to happen. What business is it of yours to decide if I'm trans enough or not?
Right.
And it goes back to a conversation that I had with my friend Carolyn Cossey. She was a Bond girl. I lived in Kennesaw at the time. And when she talked about her transition back in the 60s, she was like, I had to sign NDAs. I had to move away from my family. I had to pass as a female for a year before I could even qualify for HRT and surgeries. And then when I got my surgeries and HRT, I had to sign other NDAs that said I would never reveal my original gender. I would never tell anybody I was trans, yada, 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 yada. And so older trans persons resent the fact that people like me are walking around it.
Yes.
So now, go for it, Miranda. I'm going to shut up now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, like, I came out when I was 39. I'm 42 now. Um, I haven't had any surgeries, but even if I did, like if I had FFS tomorrow, um, there's no guarantee that I'm going to pass good enough for those kinds of people. Um, and but there is a conflict, kind of internal conflict that I was actually talking to a couple of other friends about a few days ago, and that's like passing is not my goal, but at the same time, I was very upset that particular day I talked to my friends because I felt very clocky. And so, it's like I can't pretend like I wouldn't love to pass, but um, at the same time, that's not what transition is about. It's about me being happy with me and who I am, and yeah, it's just that it's difficult whenever there are so many voices from all directions telling you you're not doing it right, you're not, um, you know, you haven't voice trained enough, or you haven't, like, you don't wear your makeup in the right way, or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. It's
Passing
bullshit.
passing in and of itself brings other problems. I know people who pass perfectly, but in their stealth, but the problem is they have to always watch their back.
Yeah,
They have they don't say anything wrong or out themselves to someone that doesn't know. Stealth is and so to your point, Miranda, about surgeries, it's not for me to necessarily pass 100% to look like this cis woman who's just like bomb.com walking down the runway. No, it's for me. Like
yeah,
FFS is, I need it because there is an internal makeup that is saying, you need this particular surgery. Um,
right.
yeah. Uh, hmm. Well,
And like we're gonna, some people when they transition, they get the full suite of
right.
surgeries, and some people it's like this one is what's really important to me, or these two or three things are really important to me, and the other things aren't. So, it's like, um, no, there's not a wrong answer on how to be trans, even though there is a lot of cultural baggage that says that there is.
And there's variations on being trans. There has to be, like you
Yeah,
said, there's one way to be trans. For people who come up to you who are trans people and then would be like, well, you're not trans enough. That's wild to me. I'd be like, how can you as a trans person or non-binary person come up and say something like this when you have gone through the same struggles that I'm going through now? That it doesn't make any sense.
As far as passing, I mean, for me, of course, it may be hard to believe, but I can pass as a straight guy if I really wanted to. I could wear basketball shorts and a t-shirt and put a baseball cap on backwards or something like that, and not say much. Don't you know?
Uh,
Don't move my hands around or something. Those kinds of things. But I mean, there is like
I don't believe you, Brandon.
I can prove it one of these days. But there is a little a sense of guilt there if I were to do that. Like, should I hide myself? I mean, in some ways, it's self-preservation. We talked about this, I think, a week or two ago. But also, going back to the political climate, sometimes I do feel guilty that I am not doing enough as far as like my writing and things like that. A lot of times I'll write entertaining, humorous content. Does that mean, I don't know. I in some ways I sometimes feel guilty that I'm not taking writing about serious issues and bringing them to light. Just because I'm gay, does that mean I have to write about those things? Do I have an obligation to do that? I mean, I still do write some serious articles. I mean, I think you saw my article about Trans Awareness Week, and
I was very thankful for that, by the way.
Yeah, it was a nice article.
thank you. But yeah, I do those on occasion, but it's not all that I write about. So am I wrong for just writing a funny poem about World Toilet Day or something,
Which was absolutely hilarious, by the way.
Oh, I completely.
Thanks.
Completely. I did have another point. If you weren't going to go back into it, Onyx.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We have two specific points, and you can talk to either of them. The first of which is the weight of wasted time.
Whew.
And so, right, that wound is the wound of years lost, decades even. The ache of imagining you could have been known who you are sooner rather than later. You could have transitioned earlier. I could have lived openly earlier. I didn't. And really the solution to that problem is you have to grieve that loss. And it deserves that. I mean, give it a fucking Viking funeral on a boat and set the boat on fire and watch it sink into the fucking water. Because you have to recognize that there was no wasted self, only a self in another form that was evolving into. This is its final form. The woman that I am now required every single day that came before that. Those years weren't empty. They were pressure creating diamond.
Here we go.
And I arrived at a time myself personally when I should have. But when you say that, then you are forced to ask yourself, if I've done this, it's survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Why did I make it when others didn't? The guilt of having access to healthcare, family support, financial resources, other trans women, other gay persons, other lesbian women, especially for people who are minorities like Onyx, who are denied everything and essentially killed socially for existing.
Yeah, the intersectionality between being a Black trans person and non-binary, is heavy. It's heavy. The idea of me mourning my past self, or the self I never got to have. You know, I didn't get to have my teens as a trans person. I didn't get to have my 20s or my 30s. You know, all that time I feel is lost. So I do mourn that, and I mourn it every day. It's hard for me to, as you say, give it a Viking burial. You know, I can't, like, it's hard for me to do that. You know, I'll get in my feels, you know, based on a song, and everything will come rushing right back. You know, what if, you know?
So I will say this: your survival is not an indictment, and you can't take it that way. It's not theft from others. So you have to metabolize and process that guilt and use whatever resources you have available to you to widen the door behind you. Um, Guilt that doesn't move becomes just rot and hangs. Guilt that moves, that becomes solidarity.
Yeah.
But give yourself permission to do that. And for some of us, that's very difficult. Miranda.
Yeah. Oh
Are you
gosh.
doing
That's
that thing? You said you weren't going to do that thing. Are you doing that thing?
what thing?
Tears? No tears allowed on
Oh
live.
no. I'm gonna cry later today. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm reading poetry at a local Trans Day of Remembrance event. So um, I guarantee I'm not making it through a poem without crying while I'm reading. Um, but yeah, that kind of guilt about the self that could have been is it is tough to get past, and it's like um, I don't I don't think that it's something that I can um, just group it all together and be like, okay, this is done, and I've grieved this. But it's like Onyx Rose was talking about hearing a certain song, and that kind of takes you down a path of grieving some particular aspect of like the former life, or like the lack of former life. Um, and it's um, I think a lot of my processing is like that, um, where it's, it's, oh, I remember this one time when I was a teenager and I felt this one way, and I wanted to be, um, like shopping for prom dresses with my sister, maybe. And, um, but it was, no, you're a guy, you go rent the lame ass tuxedo at the place. There's no like fashion involved with that.
Right.
Um, and then, and then we would go to the mall as a family and spend like the whole weekend with her picking out her dress. And like, and I know that there were a lot of parts of that were very that weren't like full of joy necessarily, because she's trying on things, and they're not fitting how she wants, and she's feeling a way about her body because of that. But like the um like the sad parts of girlhood, or like the difficult parts of girlhood, I longed for those so much.
So did I. So did I. Yeah.
Now, when I was in when I was well, all the time I was growing up and throughout college, I was in the closet, and I explored my sexuality in college, hooked up with guys, just on the down low, just guys who weren't out. And yeah, when you're talking about, well, I don't know if it's regret, remorse, guilt, shame. I mean, they're all kind of very closely related, but
Yeah, it's a web or a matrix or something.
Yeah. Very, very finite differences between some of those, but
that sounds very Epstein-like. I'm just gonna say.
What does?
It's a web of interconnected.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh. But yeah, and I definitely all the time I think about what my college experience could have been if I would have come out and been part of a community there, and had more fun for one thing, and felt comfortable around other people in the queer community. But also it at that time, it wasn't all that long ago, but even then it wasn't as accepted as it is now. And so there would have been that difficulty. And of course, and I was living at home while I was going to college, because it was the college was close enough, and I wasn't going to spend money on a dorm or apartment or everything, trying to save money wherever I could. But so coming out while still living at home would have been an issue. I might have had to go to a dorm or apartment or something.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely at least regret, if not guilt.
I straight up asked my parents, probably, I had I'm bipolar. I have bipolar disorder. And my last manic episode, I straight up asked my parents if they would have kicked me out if I had come out, 15, 20 years ago. And they straight up told me, yeah. My parents, old school, Black, religious parents. And there's no way I would have survived in terms of living at home or having a family, blood family. That would have been gone instant.
I laugh about this, but on the one side of my family, that's the side of the family that doesn't even talk to me anymore. There's limited discussion there, but honestly, the queer issue would never have played out except for the matriarch Zoe, who would have resisted everything. And so, if you've read the bio, you know this. But on the other side of my family, when I told my sister, Gia, I'm queer, she's like, don't worry. If anybody in the family gives you shit, I'll take care of it. And then even funnier than that was that my aunt, my dad's sister, did indeed give me shit. And my sister got into her face and said, you need to sit the fuck down.
Nice.
And you need to shut the fuck up. And you need to let her be who the fuck she wants to be. And fuck you. And so my sister wouldn't have that.
I've got egg for that now. I never had that in my life until egg. And she's like that now. She's my rock. She's the one who stares down people who are staring at me,
Yeah.
She's the one who'll fuck people up, While I wouldn't, so it's great to have someone like that on your side. Miranda, really quickly, you said you're going to spill some tears tonight. I spilled tears this morning writing this Trans Day of Awareness TDOR piece. I swore to myself that I wasn't going to write anything because it was going to be pretty hard, and it was indeed hard. It was rough. Yeah.
I've never asked my parents if they would have kicked me out at that time if I had come out, but I mean, I'm pretty sure of the answer. I'm maybe I don't really want to know the answer because what difference would it make?
Right.
Now, I mean, if they would have kicked me out, then I guess it would sort of relieve some regret that I didn't come out at the time. And if they would have, I guess it would confirm my assumptions. But either way, that's in the past, and it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, I don't think mine would give me a straight answer.
Yeah, that
like they're accepting now. So like they, especially my dad, might see that as me like trying to relitigate the past and be bitter about it. So
did you literally just say that your heteronormative parents would not give you a straight answer? I just want to.
I heard that. I was like, oh.
I just want
to. I knew exactly which word I was choosing there.
I think at the body, you have to ask yourself why guilt and shame behave the way they do. And so guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong. But a core tenet is that none of those are true.
Yeah.
Miranda, you are a woman doing the hardest, bravest work out there. So are you, Onyx. So am I. Brandon is doing the hardest.
I'm not at all.
No, fuck you. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit. But that becoming yourself in a world that profits from your disappearance, not just wishes for your disappearance, but profits for your disappearance. That is the thing that makes it the hardest work. And here's the thing. Guilt and shame, they visit. You can't fucking let them move in. You just can't.
Well, that goes to the point of living is resistance. Living is a big old fuck you to everybody. Living your truth.
I agree with that 100%.
Oh, I just wanted to say something. So I've been out. I came out in 2015. Came out to my parents in 2017. My dad used my name for the first time this year. He turned 80 this year. And this was the first time I had ever heard him use my name, ever. It was, I saved, he said it, and then he sent a text. I saved the text. I saved the text. And for all my disappointment.
Frame it.
Yeah, I should. For all my disappointment and shame that goes into feeling disappointed, that one little thing almost redeemed it. Almost made me feel better about myself.
There's always that flinch before the warmth. The first time someone says "ma'am," especially a family member. The first time somebody says "Wendy," who said, I'll dead name myself, who say William before, or even worse, use the name Bill. I hate that name. And kind of the funny part about it is, for as much as I hate that name, that's my dad's name.
Yeah.
So I recycle that trauma, one way or the other.
I share a middle name. I shared a middle name with my dad. It was passed down through the generations, this middle name. When I changed my name, I think that's when my dad seriously stopped talking to me. And I'll out my name too. My name was the most British of fucking names I've ever seen. My name was Stuart Howard Burton. And I'm like, where the fuck did y'all get that?
Oh, no. William Fillmore Manry. That's like real as fuck. I'm sorry, but it was. I'm not embarrassed. I dislike my dead name. I have no problems telling people my dead name.
Yeah, neither do
so
I.
That you'll know, don't fucking use it.
Right, exactly. You can know it, but there's no reason for you to use it.
Yeah, don't fucking use it.
It seems like that need for external validation seems so difficult to get rid of.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were talking about the using your name and stuff, how it kind of relieved guilt and shame, shouldn't have to, I wish it weren't that way, but it's as kids growing up, we need external validation to tell us we've done well at something, or that we're pretty or handsome or whatever, and that stays with us for so long, and it's so ingrained that even as adults we still seek out that validation from our parents and family and society even. And it's so difficult to get rid of.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh no, go ahead. I was done.
Volume.
Oh no. We lost her.
We got her back.
Oh,
there
we switched places.
About that.
So I was in reply to that. Humans are fundamentally social animals. Miranda, would you agree with that point?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, and our survival depends on group belonging. External validation activates the same neural pathways that, as physical safety. We literally feel threatened when excluded or misrecognized or misgendered or not appropriately orientated. Our sense of self forms through mirroring. We learn who we are by seeing ourselves reflected in others' responses. That isn't weakness. It's just, that's raw neurobiology at its core. At its core. We require witnesses to our existence. The self is relational, built in the space between, I hate to say this, I forget which philosopher said, the self is relational, built in the space between I and thou. It's probably biblical the way my works, but you know what? I'll co-opt biblical shit to make my existence tolerable.
There's some good lines there, even if there's a lot of other stuff too.
There's a lot of wisdom that's actually beneficial. But
If you leave out all the
then there's,
shit, then yeah. Oh.
yeah, I was just gonna say, then there's a lot of other stuff. But
Yeah.
So that was what I had in closing, because we're creeping up right on the hour.
Okay. I just want to say, first of all, thank y'all. But guilt and shame have lived simultaneously within me, both as a trans person and as a person with Crohn's disease and a person who has bipolar disorder. I've done the craziest things that y'all wouldn't even believe I've done. And shameful things. And when I come out of a manic episode, I'm like, oh my God, so like guilt and shame live simultaneously within me. And I understand that that's something I need to banish or or just like move along. But it's hard. It's hard.
Miranda,
Oh,
you have to
I don't know if
close.
I have to close. Okay, so our closing hymn today will be
Oh, just as long as it's not one of those
well,
miserable
so like
songs.
kind of riffing off of what Wendy said about how some level of external validation is required. Sometimes we have to recognize who we want that from. So if your parents aren't ready or willing to be that validating voice, then you might need to go elsewhere to find it. And it's worth going to find it.
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Finding the community that you belong to and who aligns with your values, not the values set upon you.
Oh, I love that fan.
Thank you.
Oh, I've got one around here somewhere.
I'm jealous. I don't have like a queer, gay, or cool fan. I just
Not the same.
I think I got 3 of them from Pride last year.
Yeah, I probably did too, and they just went missing.
There it is.
Oh my God, Brandon, your dexterity score, Brandon, so powerful, so powerful. Okay, well, we're right at the hour mark. So, does anybody have any closing statements? No, Miranda.
No.
Brandon, Onyx, I love you all.
Oh,
there she goes. we love her even in her absence.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm back. Whenever I get a phone call, it seems to knock out the volume.
Oh yeah.
So
right. I love you all. I just want to be clear. Let's just do some maintenance work. Thursday at this time does indeed work for you, Miranda?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, perfect. Then we're going to keep doing that because I've got space on my calendar from 1 to 3 o'clock that is now completely and perpetually open work-wise. So even if I'm in the office, I have a cool space to go to that I can Anyway, so
Oh, I'm going live in less than an hour with 2 other gay guys. If you want to check that out.
is Ben one of those gay guys?
No, Ben is not gay. No.
Ben's not gay? I thought Ben was gay.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Which 2 gay guys? Because these are probably people I need to follow.
Henrik Hedlund, he's from Denmark.
Right?
And Gerald Sturgill. They're both in my writers group. They were on Medium, and they're both on Substack.
Nice. Okay, cool. By the way, Miranda, while we were doing the live session, I did a thing for you.
Oh, did you? For my site?
Yeah, I think you'll like those colors better.
I'll check it out.
So, yeah, please. All right, well, with that, thank you, everyone that joined the live. We'll be back on Monday at 1 p.m. for the next trauma. So this was Onyx's trauma session. Who's next?
Maybe me. I don't remember the last one I did.
I'm happy to let you have it.
Yeah. Here's what we'll do.
Was it your turn?
Is it mine? Oh, it might be.
No, I mean, was it Miranda's? I don't remember.
Miranda's turn.
Oh, okay.
I mean, whatever.
It
So
doesn't matter. To
anyway,
me.
let's talk offline and like
We'll talk
actually
offline.
list out the order and all that stuff.
Yeah. We'll flip a coin, a handful. We'll rock, paper, scissors.
Boom,
1,
boom,
2,
boom.
3, go. It's always scissors. Just remember that.
It's always scissors.
For me, it's always rock hard.
Rock hard. Wait, we aren't erasing any of the bi people, so just like remember all the people who are bi. Bi
erasure is bullshit. Don't buy into it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, don't erase me for that reason.
Yeah.
We're going out.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.